try to kick you while you're down. They wanna rise up while you drown. They wanna fill your head with doubt. They're silently scared that you'll figure it out. I'll make it look like I'm losing, won't bother hiding my bruises. And when they finally think you're wounded, then it's your chance to be ruthless. Make some progress, I can see that they compare. I think everyone's against me, maybe something in the air. Am I paranoid? I swear a void is forming and they're scared. I walk a straight path, not many can say that. I like to play fast, cross me and there's payback. You better pray that I don't see your face at any place that I go. I know you hate that. I've been doing fine, I'm not wasting any more time. I live for the fight and the climb. I think that the pain that's deep inside is what defines. So I won't give up, I'm gonna make it to the top. I don't care what's in my way, I swear I'm never gonna stop. I could fall flat on my face and I swear I will get back up. Cause I don't deserve a thing and the road ahead is tough. They'll try to kick you while you're down. They wanna rise up while you drown. They wanna fill your head with doubt. They're silently scared that you'll figure it out. I'll make it look like I'm losing, won't bother hiding my bruises. And when they finally think you're wounded, then it's your chance to be ruthless.
So instinctive and so passionate. Every word I move so descriptive like an adjective. I got a vendetta against people who patented being negative when you should be getting after it. I got facts over tracks, this and that. Spitting slow, spitting fast. I could roast, I could gas. Think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past. And the pettiness, a reflection of the emptiness. Hilarious, you think you're worth my time, you're delirious. Mysterious, because you hide behind a fake exterior. Inferior, you know I'll always be a bit superior. Get off of me, this ain't no humble brag. I want you to hear words, you can say them back. I want you to feel free from the chains that last, and to believe in what you got, it was built to last, yeah.
Now that I've been put through hell, I never got anyone's help. I had to do it all myself.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. just wanna be the greatest. Everybody knows my name, shit. I'ma have this whole fucking game lit, spitting with the same wit, and I'm gonna be famous. Ain't nobody able to delay this. Coming up, I had a vision to make it. Never wanted to be nothing, always wanted to play shit. Sit in class, always wondering why I love this lame shit. How the hell am I different if we all know the same shit? I ain't never let them doubt me, it's about me. Keep my head down, let my mouth speak. They surround me, they all about the clout, see where the crowd be. Every time I speak loudly, they more about me. Man, you know I got a bounty on these lousy ass haters that surround me. Still they doubt me, they don't know nothing about me. Still their mouths free, I'ma change that soon. Better watch out now, see?
I just wanna be the greatest. Yeah. Man, I just wanna be famous. Yeah. Yeah, I just wanna be the greatest. Yeah. Man, I just wanna be famous. Yeah.
And I'm not playing any more games. Either put me on the charts or I'll put you up in flames. Better recognize art, cause I don't forget names. Should've seen me from the start, coming at you like a train. Think I'm about to fall apart every single fucking day. Seeing all these damn stars with my well-deserved fame. And I spit these gold bars while they spitting out shit. Man, I give this shit hard, but it gives me back pain. I wanna be a spectacle, they skeptical. But man, I got that chemical, exceptional. I do it all intentional, professional. So I can make that decimal incredible. I'm not thinking, man, they're saying that I've gone insane. I'm not ever gonna make it cause the game has changed. I'm not good enough, man, no that's not okay. Tell me that shit again and I'll stop your brain.
I just wanna be the greatest. Yeah. Man, I just wanna be famous. Yeah. Yeah, I just wanna be the greatest. Yeah. Man, I just wanna be famous. Yeah.
Now wake up, you got some shit to do. It's 6 a.m., I don't care, you got some shit to prove. Cause right now, you ain't got nothing that big to lose. So get your ass to work and don't you dare hit snooze. Can't stop this, I'm obnoxious. And I'm honest and novice with promise. Made monstrous, I'm conscious, but I'm nauseous. Think I've lost it, I've got it. Spitting all this, still I'm not it. I've got this, I will not quit. Man, I'm all in, balling on a budget. Man, I'm stalling, crawling, cause I'm nothing. But I'm all in, calling, I'll be something. Yeah, I'ma get it now, you can leave if you don't like it. Say it out loud, you believe it, you can bite this. Keep my head down and I keep on going timeless. Make it somehow, I believe it when I write this.
I just wanna be the greatest. Yeah. Man, I just wanna be famous. Yeah. Yeah, I just wanna be the greatest. Yeah. Man, I just wanna be famous. Yeah.
I look at what's in front of me, don't focus on the other things. I know that if I'm struggling, that only leads to a job for me. And I need something that could challenge me, build up all my calluses, push through.
What's going on, y'all? Yeah, it's been it's been a crazy I know I sound like a broken record, but I just want to say, man, again, I appreciate everybody's help and everybody's support. Things are kind of not totally out in left field, but I don't know how to say it. I feel good. I'm just like, I'm in limbo with my girlfriend, trying to figure out if that's going to work out. The last couple of days, my foot is swollen. It doesn't really hurt. And I think I have something that doesn't sound serious, but that's kind of been bothering me. As you guys know, I'm on vacation, so I feel good there. I don't know how to explain it. Like, it's hard to explain. It's almost like, maybe I have too much going on. I don't know. Well, not too much going on. Almost like I have too many options. I don't want you guys to think that you can't count on me, man. I really don't. Yeah. There's a lot on my mind. There's a lot I'm thinking about. I think I'm in the right frame of mind. I think I feel good. but I think I'm also like I still like I'm not to the point like I used to be where I'm just kind of putting myself down constantly, but I am at a point where um that I feel better, but I still have those struggles, man. I don't think they will ever go away, and it's hard to totally just kind of forget about it. I'm gonna message these couple guys that wanted to play DayZ with me, uh, and I don't want them to think that I'm totally ignoring them. Uh, I don't know why someone messaged me. It's just stupid, man. People are weird, man. Uh,
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and you'll be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits, some loose shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip, you choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift. Oh.
people just kind of don't make any sense. Oh, let me message these two people who are gonna help me on DayZ.
Pull back the curtain and you'll see the different vermin. We all have different burdens that all seem to cause disturbance. Yo, so do me a favor, don't treat me like a neighbor. Don't need the different flavors of your problems just to savor. I've got my own issues, I need a comb to get through. Don't need to groan with you, just go get your own tissue. That's it, the end of the song. Next time you sing along. Trust me, there's nothing wrong. I just need you carry
I don't know. I just get upset when people. I don't know, man.
there to make you sit. Listen to what they give. Don't ask questions, shut your lid. Yeah, don't ask questions, shut your lid. I need to run away.
I just feel like
Get off the grid. Feel like my loaded, man. I'm
gotta learn not to let that bother me.
tell you what to do, man. They don't know shit.
I guess I just overthink what people think about me, and I don't know why.
Yeah. Sometimes I get so mad, there's no controlling me. My thoughts get so bad, I'm like, I might grab a bat, I don't know. My wrath, my blood boils over
I don't know
like,
why I think like that.
oh God, here goes. I lost all feeling from my head to my
I just
toes.
get overwhelmed and
That I can't let go, so just stay tuned for the rest of the show. So have you ever felt betrayed? Switches how you see things, realize something needs change. Cause I know you got me fucked up, let me show you what's up. Cause enough is enough. I'll take a face full of pavement, just to make a statement. I know there's no turning back. Oh God, adrenaline
1 second, y'all. Hold on for a second, y'all. I'm just getting caught up in. I don't know. It's like people. I don't know. I just get overwhelmed with stuff, man. Overthink things and.
You gotta take control. Life's too short. Get out of your head. Make a better life instead. You gotta give it all your best. So put your hands up to the sky and live your best life, alright. Don't just let it go by, just try, oh my. Got only one life, got only this time. We gonna get it right. You gotta let go of those who don't belong in your tribe. So cut the bad out of your life. Yeah, do it one time, one time. You gotta work till you're winning. Yeah, take control of the system. When you invest, it's addicting. No time to rest, go get it. Not gonna stop till I'm finished. Not gonna drop till
I apologize, y'all. I just overthink stuff, man, and I don't know. I always tell myself, like, I don't care what people think about me, but there's a small part of me that does kind of care. You know, because I don't know.
Life's too short. Get out of your head. Make a better life instead. You gotta give it all your best. So don't let go.
I don't know.
Take control. Get out of your head. Make a better life instead. You gotta give it all your best. Give it all your best. You're never gonna stop, no way, no. Yelling out, hey, yo. Headed to the top on our way, yo. You gotta make change. Yeah, there's gonna be a little pain, but nothing's worse than staying the
Where do I
same.
remember that name from?
Put the work in, go claim everything you want in this place. It's time to go fast, know that energy is all cash. You can get it all if you never give up, no slack. Headed to the top is a mystery, your own path. Never gonna stop, no, you got this, never go back. I know it gets hard, you gotta love it. You gotta recharge with what you want and think of your dreams. Get that energy to go and get everything. You gotta take control. Life's too short. Get out of your head. Make a better life instead. You gotta give it all your best. So don't let go. Take control. Get out of your head.
Sorry, guys. I just get overwhelmed with stuff and. I don't know how to explain it. Like, I just kind of. Yeah. Alright.
Yo, I'm an addict, addicted to being savage. My life is a little graphic, like HBO making magic. I'm rapping to make that passive money coming from traffic. Doing mental gymnastics, I'm fluid and problematic. You losing if you come at me the wrong way. I've come a long way from sipping on Bombay. It's 1942 now, in this loud mouth, sipping hard in the back of a booth, sold out. I can never get enough. Success is like a drug. The money come in, but then I want more stuff. So I gotta work hard, play harder, gotta work smarter. Time is money, yeah, money is hard, and so I'm not giving up. No, I'm not giving in. I was born in this world, I swear, to make a difference. If you need
I just want to be open about stuff, you know. I think, you know, because I don't go out, I don't party as much anymore, or party at all. I think my social skills really suck. Like, I just, like, I don't know. It's weird. It's like I like doing my own thing, but there's a part of me that wishes I was a little bit better being socially equipped, or just to talk to people. Because I still have this, like, level of anxiety that's, you know, and it's hard to explain. And I'm trying to almost get more used to it, but it still overwhelms me. It still really gets to me. But, and I'm trying my best to not ignore it, but to just kind of deal with it, so I just don't throw it to the side. I wonder, I know I tried playing this game. You know, they give me issues with an Intel CPU. I wonder if I had an AMD. I'm gonna install it, because I wonder if I have an AMD CPU. I wonder if it will play, because this game does play for people, but for some reason it won't play for me at all when I had my Intel CPU. So I'm gonna try it. Let's see. I use the bathroom again. I just get, I don't know, it's like I feel comfortable when I'm streaming. I just get, like, for the last, like, year or so, whenever I'm streaming, it's like, unless I have somebody to talk to, I just get overwhelmed, because I just think about so many things. But I love doing this. Like, I love it. I just love it. I don't know how to explain it. I enjoy it. Use the restroom, and then I'm gonna use the restroom real quick, and we'll play something. If anybody's hanging out, let me know. I really got to do something for you guys, man, because you guys are just really been really patient and just awesome. And you know, you guys deserve a lot more than what I've been doing. And you know, I've been working a ton, and you guys know me. I want to always give back. Dara, what's up, girl? How are you doing? Long time no talk. I just want to say thank you for keeping in touch with me. I'm gonna use bathroom real quick, but it's okay. I want to know how you've been. You know, how you and your boyfriend are doing. I want to know all that stuff. So let me use the restroom, and if you got a few minutes, I want to know how you've been. I think last time we talked was when you were on Twitter or something. and I wanted to do something for you, but I forgot why I had to go. I think I had worked the next day, but you were hinting at, like, I think it was your birthday, maybe, and you wanted the game or something like that. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that was the last time. But you know, I always tag you in, like, giveaways and stuff. You're the first person I think about when I do that. Here, I'll be right back. But I want to know how you been. I want to know how you been. So, yeah, let me hurry up and use the bathroom, and I'll be back. See Dory. She got her new bed right here. She don't want to use it yet. Love you. Yes, Dory. Dara loves you too.
That's right. Sometimes all we really need is hope. Push past all the pain that you're going through. It won't last if you move how you wanna move. Get lost in the work that you gotta do to be someone better. You can grow into something new. I could be anything that I set my mind to. I do what I need, I can push right through. Fight through those things that are holding me back from the life that I like to have. I'm like, give me time, I'll be just fine. Thought I was worth leaving behind. You're out of your mind. I'll come back better than ever, no matter the weather. Greater than I've ever been, that's my new endeavor. Woo. I work hard so the sweat coming off my chin. On par with the greatest that have ever done it. I'm new, coming back better than before. But don't look at me, cause you closed the door. So watch out and fear me now. I can get real mean if you sell me out. I can get real green, got me hulking now. I don't forget those things, don't hear me loud. I focus on myself, I focus on my health. The greatest revenge is building up yourself. Your life and your drive, building up your wealth. Becoming something better than you've ever felt. If you got dreams that you're chasing, the fear in your life, stand up and face it. Ain't nobody coming to help, you're all alone in this world, in this life, embrace it. I know it might seem hard, it might seem tough, it may sound rough, but this state of mind will get you through a lot of stuff and keep you accountable to stay strong when it's tough. No help, I do it by myself, couldn't even tell it, I've been through well. But on the other side came a soldier, much bolder, standing broad shoulders. Step aside and give me the controller, I came here to win, I don't lose, hot roller. I wanna be the best in the game, yeah, I came to play and invest, stay colder.
Of course, my OCD's bothering me right now. Hold on, Dara.
Round two, I gotta screw loose. No matter how I do feel, I still gotta prove that I'm better. I never say never, I work all alone, I don't work together. I got big moves.
Sorry about that.
I'ma be a tycoon in the boardroom.
OCD's kind of kicking in a little bit. So there's so much I want to at least try to catch up with you on. So what have you been doing? You're still in I don't know where you're at. Are you in New England? Was it New England? Or I think you were traveling or something, weren't you? Weren't you in a different country like about a year ago? Oh, okay. So you lived in New England and then you moved to Ohio? Massachusetts to Ohio. If you don't mind me asking, what part of Ohio? Because Mike, Dr. Fat Bear, and Nick, Toe Tad Terry, they both live in Ohio. If you want to share. I mean, even if you tell me the city, yeah, it's not like they're gonna know. Near Cleveland. They're I forgot where they're at. But yeah, they're both in Ohio. So why'd you move? Now you're engaged, aren't you? Is it engaged? Or I can't remember if you were engaged or just dating somebody or oh, so you're just you're just dating somebody? The same guy you were dating? The guy who was really cool and helping me with my stream, like, whatever that was, 2 years ago? I think he was. I think that's the same guy. You should add me on Facebook or something so we can stay in touch if you're cool with that. Not him? So you're dating... Oh, you're dating somebody else. If you don't mind me asking, how long you been dating this guy? From Ohio? How'd you meet him? Let me guess. Dating site. Or was he visiting Massachusetts and you just kind of like ran into him? Oh, that's right, he was. You're right, that refreshes my memory. So how'd you meet this new guy? And what made you, if you don't mind me again, I'm just curious. But how long, this current guy, you haven't been dating him. You met him on Twitter? That's awesome. Now, did he come and visit you, or did you come visit him first? I'm sure like one of those two things happened, right? How long have you been, how long have you, well, how long have you known him? And how long have you been together? That's really cool, though. Because usually when you meet random people on X or Twitter, a lot of times it's like, even if you find someone attractive, it just doesn't, like, it's really hard to kind of, you know, get to know somebody on Twitter. Even if someone finds you attractive, it's kind of like, well, you know, getting over the hump of messaging somebody random. Did he just randomly see your profile, or were you guys in a group or in a thread? That's so crazy. That's so awesome. I'm happy for you. So what are you doing? Are you still working at Amazon out in Ohio? Oh, he has to do a stream with you? Yeah, that is awesome, though. Now, what does he... No? What does, what do you do out there? Like, what are you doing for working out there? You working in a warehouse, or... Oh, yeah. No, I get that. Where I work, it's a huge, like, yeah, if you don't watch your mental health, it can go crazy. It's like, even, like, at Dollar General warehouse, even though the money's great, it's like there's things you really gotta keep in, you know, you gotta keep tabs on stuff, because if you don't, you'll easily go crazy. It's not strict, it's just like, you know, I think what it is it wears on you physically and mentally. Normally jobs don't do both. But this one can. So I've thought about leaving, but I don't know, I like it. But it's like, well, you know, I'm kind of still up in the air about it. That's so awesome though. Like, is he a gamer? Like, does he play a lot of games, or is he kind of like into computers, but not a gamer? So I'm gonna try to play something. That's cool. Well, enough of 20 questions. I'm just really interested in how you're doing and what you've been up to, and how long have you been in Ohio? I'm like, that's enough for 20 questions, and then I'd come back with a question. How long have you been there? I'm curious if you've experienced any of the winter, some of the bad weather. I upgraded my setup, so if it looks like I'm looking like to the right, oh, so you experienced winter. So now I have, instead of having two monitors where they're like, how do I want to say it, like a W shaped, where it's like got a monitor and then one that kind of flanks the right. It's like I got a TV. I switched my one monitor to a TV, and then the other one's like literally perpendicular. So instead of like looking back and the one monitor's kind of facing this way, it's literally facing this way. So like my head, it's not too bad, but it's just a different setup. Where before I could look straight and see both monitors. Just in case you were wondering. I highly suggest, I don't know what exactly your setup is, but I'm in love with the TV setup. I'm telling you, I know people say refresh rate. That don't matter, man. I mean, it's like with me personally, the TV setup, it's like I could be playing a game I really don't want to play, and it's so immersive. It's next level for story games. Like like God of War, stuff like that. Oh my God, like Elden Ring. The only problem with the TV is, you got to play in the dark, and when you're streaming, I don't like shutting all the lights off. But when you shut all the lights off, it looks amazing. But then it's like you don't have that bright glow that, you know, a streamer normally has when they're streaming. So that's kind of like a catch-22. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just so excited. It's weird because it's like, you know, I'm the same person I used to be. Like, I don't talk a lot. Like, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that went on, a lot of changes, but I'm still like, I kind of like doing my own thing, but I enjoy interacting with people. But most of the time, I just kind of enjoy doing my own thing. However, when I do interact with people, it's like it makes me feel really good. But I think it makes me feel good because I don't do it a lot. You know, I feel like if I always talk to people, but like talking to you is just like, it gives me this euphoria. It just feels good. I don't know how to explain it. Maybe because I don't normally talk to people like that, you know? Like when I'm working, I just kind of talk to people and it's about work. Every now and then we do small talk, but it's just like, yeah, that's not really, I don't know. And I always have to give a disclaimer to people like, hey, I'm not trying to be an asshole, but I just kind of like, if I'm not talking about work, I just kind of like staying focused. So I downloaded Marvel's Avengers, and I just want to see if it works. This game doesn't work for a lot of people, but there are people who played it, and I haven't got a definitive answer on how they've gotten it to work. Oh, here's something you don't know. So I upgraded, aside from the TV, I upgraded my PC setup. So I got rid of my Intel CPU, and I got an AMD. The Ryzen 7 9800 X3D. And then I got a new motherboard and new RAM. DDR5. So, other than everything but the GPU was updated. Yeah. I wanted to go, so initially I was going to wait and upgrade everything. But I found out that actually a 50 series would fit in my CPU. And so I was like, well, that means I don't need a new tower. And I thought about it and I was like, you know what? Instead of upgrading everything, because I like doing everything all at once. But instead of upgrading everything all at once, why not just upgrade everything except the GPU? And I guess it all came into play. Oh, so here's what I did. Yeah, I'll tell you in a second. So I got a motherboard, I got the CPU, and I got this RAM called Patriot RAM. And I guess Patriot RAM is kind of garbage, but I didn't know it was garbage. I just wanted good DDR5 RAM, and I didn't do no research. People in the New Way Discord recommended it, and they're pretty good, pretty honest. So I was like, all right, I'll just pick it up. So I got this RAM, and I had this local shop put it in, RAM, the motherboard, and the CPU. And I got it back, and computer turned on, and I forgot what I did. So I booted up the computer, and I didn't have everything on at once. So I booted it on, but then my monitor came on, and it said something like, push this to go into BIOS. So it didn't give me an option. I forgot what the screen said, but basically, like, it only gave me an option to go into BIOS, or it didn't tell me how to skip it and go to the start screen. So I thought, well, that's weird, and I know they tested it, but right when that screen popped up, I ended up having to restart everything. So I shut my computer off. So I used the power button, shut it off. And then I made sure I had all my peripherals, everything right. And then I think I didn't have my monitors plugged in. This was before I had the TV. And so I turned on my computer, and I forgot what happened, but I ended up going back into BIOS. So I ended up going back into BIOS, and I had a Discord server helping me kind of figuring out, how to, scratch it. So I was having problems. I was wondering why my computer was slow, and I restarted the computer, and I told the Discord server, I was like, hey, I'll let you know when it boots up, and the guy was like, man, that's really slow for DDR5 RAM. So then I ended up going to the BIOS, and I was taking pictures of my BIOS with my phone because I couldn't do screenshot. I was on Discord, in a Discord server, and they said I had a really old version of BIOS. Now, I didn't know this, but the main way to update BIOS, obviously, is a flash drive. Is a flash drive. But you can also update it without a flash drive. You can actually download a file to your computer, and there's a way to do it that way, where you can download a file, and you go somewhere, download a file, and you can actually update the BIOS that way. And so I tried doing that, but then I was like, basically, the things I needed to do, it wasn't giving me permission to do that. And I was like, that's odd, because I'm the only person who uses this PC. But something about not having administrator privileges, whatever, so on and so forth. So I went to take the computer back, and I told the computer shop, I was like, hey, is there a chance you could update my BIOS? Because people were telling me, the server also told me that I was running a really, really old version of BIOS. Like, it was really old. And so instead of trying to update it and screw up my computer, took it back to the shop. They're like, yeah, we'll update it. And in doing so, I found out that RAM that they had, Patriot RAM, was garbage. So I was like, you know what? There's no point in having a good motherboard and good CPU. Let me just get some good RAM. So I got this RAM. It was Corsair RAM. And you know how when you overclock RAM for Intel, it's like Intel XMP, and then if you have a Ryzen if you have a Ryzen CPU, it's Expo. And so that's to overclock. Yeah, so here's what happened. So I got this RAM. Let me show you. I got this RAM, and it was Corsair RAM. And let me show you. Let me show you real quick. Come on. So I got this RAM. So I was like, okay, I'm going to upgrade my RAM. So here's what I got. So I got this RAM. Now remember, I got a AMD CPU. So I didn't think much about it, but I just got whatever RAM, Corsair, whatever. Now, when you read this description right here, it's XMP. So that's the overclock if you have an Intel CPU. But I didn't think I didn't plan. I don't plan on. I'm not overclocking my RAM. Like I'm not doing it. You know how when people do that, I'm not. I'm just keeping mine the way it is. So I thought, well, that doesn't matter because I don't plan on overclocking it. So it doesn't matter if I'm what CPU I have. Got the RAM. The shop put it in. Took back the Patriot RAM, and they plugged the RAM in. And basically, what was happening was my computer would restart and a screen would show saying loading profile for like 15 minutes. And then it would eventually boot up. It was something like loading Intel, loading XMP profile. Now, mind you, the XMP, that's basically when you overclock the RAM. And if you have Intel, and then if you overclock the RAM with the AMD, it's Expo. But, again, I thought, well, I asked the shop, I was like, there's no such thing as RAM specific, right? He's like, no, there's no such thing as specific RAM for specific systems. Like, if you don't have it, you don't need a certain brand or anything like that. Now, here's where it gets confusing. Here's where it gets really confusing. So, the guy was telling me that it was taking, we're working on it, but it would take, restart my computer, and it would say loading profile. Loading XMP profile, and it would do that for 15 minutes, and obviously that's not good. And they initially told me there's no such thing as RAM just for Intel, RAM just for AMD. It doesn't work like that. And I was doing some research at home. They said they were going to look into it, and that's when I found out that each motherboard, every motherboard has on their site, on the manufacturer's site, they have RAM that they've tested that works. So like other RAM would work, but you might have to mess with it. But this is RAM that they know has tested and worked. So went back on the Discord and I was sharing it with people, and they were like, no, that's just to sell more RAM. That's just like, that's just the money thing. And I'm like, I don't know, man. And they're like, no, that's what it is. So I was like, I did some more research, and on Reddit, somebody had the same problem as me. They had an AMD CPU. They used some XMP RAM, and they were having an issue, and they needed to have Expo RAM. Even though they don't plan on overclocking it, you need Expo RAM to load the profile. To load a profile for the AMD CPU. So, I told the shop, I was like, all right, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some new RAM, and then I'm going to send that back. So, I ended up getting this RAM right here. So I ended up, this was on the list on the manufacturer's site. I was like, you know what, I'm just going to buy one of them that, one of these that are on here. And on the manufacturer's webpage for my specific board, they have they have specific RAM that they've tested, but a few of the brands I never even heard of. Like they got like Team Group and just some weird brands that are, I know they're kind of name brands, but they're just they're not as popular as like G-Steel or Corsair. But this specific RAM, and as you see, AMD Expo was on that list. So, long story short, they ended up putting this RAM in, and it booted right up. And so, yeah, so that was how I went from Patriot RAM to Corsair to G-Steel RAM. And as you see here, I also, initially with the Patriot RAM and Corsair, I did not upgrade. I stayed at 32. But I told myself, you know what? If I'm upgrading the board, my motherboard, my CPU, I might as well just upgrade the RAM. So then whenever I can afford a GPU, I just get that and I'll be done with it. And that's when the shop also told me that, hey, whenever you plan on upgrading to a better GPU, your GPU will fit. Because I guess the 40 series and 50 series are the same size. And they've already tested that a 40 series would fit. And so, now I probably still end up getting a new case whenever I do upgrade. But I was like, okay, well, that's really cool. And so, yeah, so that's what I did. And so I ended up sticking with this RAM. Again, I kind of wanted Corsair RAM, but all the Corsair RAM that I could find that was AMD was all RGB. And I'm not a huge fan of necessarily RGB. I mean, obviously this is RGB, but I don't like seek it out. You know, I just not, you know, I just don't need all that or whatever. And so that's how I ended up getting my current setup. And so to answer your question, so I don't even know what I'm going to do with it because I'm not used to reselling anything. So if you know anybody who wants, I mean, you know how little I've played, so it's not even worn out. But I have my motherboard, my RAM. I forgot what type of RAM it is. Oh, it's G-Steel RAM. And the CPU. So I don't know how I'm going to go about doing it. It's all in a box now. You know, I think what I'm going to do in the next week or so is take a picture of each, put a description on what it is, the model, you know, hey, the i9, 10, 900K, you know, and then do the same thing for the motherboard and the RAM and try to sell it as a bundle. But I know, like, the CPU ain't gonna go for much, which is fine. Here's where I'm at with that. I'm not trying to make money off of it, really, but I'm also don't want to give it away. But I want to make something off of it. When I mean something, I'm not saying some huge profit or anything like that. But I don't want to sell it for like $40, you know what I'm saying? But I want to, you know, if I could, I would just give it, you know, basically whoever wanted it, give it to them for a good deal if they want it. The motherboard is a MSI gaming Wi-Fi 550 or 650. So now remember when I bought this, when I had this computer built, it was in 2020. So those parts were new then. So obviously, you know, they're getting older. And I didn't know this, but you know, the games I play, like Elden Ring and Grand Theft Auto, I don't know if you remember, but it was getting to a point where I couldn't max out the settings on those anymore. I could max out the settings, but once I start putting on ray tracing, then like Cyberpunk or whatever, my FPS would go down to like 25 FPS. And that, you know, I was like, man, that's kind of a bummer, you know, because one of the main reasons I got the build I did, because, you know, I don't play that much, but I want to be able to crank everything up. Well, like Elden Ring, GTA, and Cyberpunk, I couldn't do that anymore. I mean, I could still crank up the graphics, I think almost everything to max, but I could not have ray tracing on unless I was going to go down to like 25 FPS. So that was one of the deciding factors to upgrade. Because someone told me, though, with certain games run on GPU, other games are CPU. And so games like as I said, Elden Ring, GTA, they're CPU, and I'm trying to think which ones are GPU, how someone explained it to me. But basically, the GPU games that are strictly GPU, I don't really play a lot of those. So I was like, oh, okay, so if I get a better CPU, then I should be able to max everything out. And so that's kind of the reason I did what I did and decided to upgrade. So I'm gonna if you're interested, I'll just tell you what I have, and I'll, you know, take a picture of anything. If you're thinking about it, hey, I'll probably just, you know, next to give it away to you. But anybody else, I'm gonna just go on eBay and find out, okay, what's this going for? What's this going for? What is each part actually selling for? And then probably just take that amount and then just, you know, knock off $100 or however much, you know, I don't know, 20%. So I'd rather get some money and get rid of it than have it sit around. Because I know if it sits around, it's going to sit in a box and it's just going to be, you know, it's getting to the point now where, you know, it's not even, I mean, I guess it could be used for a backup PC, but I don't really have, you know, I don't really want to have a backup PC. And if I'm going to have a streaming PC, it's kind of underperform, you know, it doesn't have the specs for that. So the only reason I want to try to sell it, you know, I might actually I'm going to end up giving it away for next to nothing, but it's either that or sit in a box and don't get nothing for it and forget about it for the next 3 years. And then I'm going to, you know, I don't know, be moving or something. I'm going to be like, oh yeah, there's my CPU and old, you know, So, um, but yeah. So that's how that's all that shook out. I'm still working a lot, like a lot, and I'm trying to figure out why I haven't played as much as I normally do. Um, just stuff with my girlfriends, just kind of things become really bad between us. We argue, and but then when things are good, we feel good, and so between that and still trying to get my mental health right, she's not making it all worse, but sometimes it does. But I also like, I want to try to work things out. And so between that and working a lot, it's like, having money for extra things is nice, but it's definitely not the cure for all my issues. And there have been stretches where I don't stream, and I don't like that. I like to play. I really do. And I think a lot of times I just like talking to people. You know, like I don't have a social life, but it's almost like that's kind of how I want things. Or if I'm talking to people, it's I want people to want to talk to me, not just talk to me for the sake of doing it. I'm trying to think what else has happened. So I can't even remember. Just been working, and yeah, I can't remember. I know I had something in mind that I wanted to share with you, but yeah, and then fast forward to here, and I'm just kind of like, in general, everything's going really good. It's just my mental health is okay. It needs to be a lot better. But even though when I'm feeling good and things are going good, it's just I just get really stressed out about stuff. I still worry a lot, and so it just gets really really difficult. Um, so I think I'm starting to realize too that I do have bipolar. I laugh at that. It's not really funny, but like I don't really spend money in terms of like spending my rent money or gambling my money away. I'm not that type of irresponsible, but I have realized like sometimes it's like if I'm stressed out, not talking to people, and just kind of working all the time, it's almost like just spending a few bucks here and there makes me feel a little better. But my real issue is my worrying and my stress and stuff, and that's why like sometimes when I stream and I don't end up playing, it's just I just get overwhelmed. It's like I told somebody, I do things when I feel good, not to feel good. So if I'm stressed out when I'm on my computer right now, I still will stream, but I won't necessarily playing a game won't automatically make me feel better. Even though in the past I know that's worked, it just it won't. But if I'm just sitting here chilling, talking to you, and I feel in a good mood, then I'll start playing. Um, like right now, talking to you, like I love it. I enjoy it because I'm actually talking to somebody. I mean, I like it. Like to me, this is the best. I care less about how many people in the chat. I don't care about that. What's important to me is that somebody is here that likes to be here, and that's all I care about. Um, and that's kind of that's I don't know I don't know how to explain it. It's weird. It's like when I go out by myself and have a good time. Like I really enjoy doing that, and it's hard to interact or it's hard to relate to people because a lot of people when they stream, especially streamers, it's all about viewers and activity and subs, and I wholeheartedly don't care about that. Like I just don't. Like I'd rather have one or two people here who just care. I tell myself like if I was somebody who streamed all the time, that probably would be different. Or if I was somebody that didn't struggle with the anxiety that I do, it would probably be different. But like right now, it's like I like talking to you, but it's like it's like I'm nervous because I'm just not used to it. And I'm on vacation from work, so last Tuesday was my last day of work until the 18th. And so that, and like right now, just talking to you, it's like, I'm getting so nervous. Like I feel like I gotta use the bathroom. Like I just get, it's almost like it's weird. It's like I don't do this that often that it's almost like a surreal experience. which I love it because it's almost like the opposite of boredom. But at the same time, it's like I want to feel comfortable doing it, but I just don't do it a lot. But like they always used to say, like when like they say this term in DJing, too much of one thing is never good. When you're playing different mixes and different types of music, and that's the same thing with like life. And I'm not trying to give you a life lesson, but like with me personally, if I do too much of one thing, it loses its luster and excitement. Kind of like when I was always going out and drinking and going to the bar, like that, it wasn't as exciting anymore, But now it's like hanging out and talking with you, it's just like, I don't know, it just feels great. So, I just want you to know, like, if I don't talk much, and I just want you to know that I do care about you. See, this is my OCD. I do care about you, and if I don't talk much to you, just know that I'm always thinking about you. And, like I've told anybody in the community, I don't always have to talk to you to know that we have a good relationship, because I understand it. Like, if we don't talk for 2 months, that don't mean, oh man, does this person not care about? No, I don't think like that. It's like in the back of my mind, I know, hey, this person really, it's kind of like back in the day when I used to say, hey, this person likes being here, and to me, that's the best feeling I could ever want. That's better than any, Now, if I didn't have a decent job, if I didn't have a nice setup, if I didn't spend some money every now and then, maybe it'd be like, man, I wish I had some viewers. Man, I wish I had some donations, but I don't care about that. Like, I just don't. And that's one thing I pat myself on the back for, is like, I just don't care about that sort of thing. But real quick, let me try real quick to see if this works. So this game, okay, wait. Again, when I had my Intel CPU, this game would always it would crash every time at the same place, in the same level. But a lot of people, it did that for. It would crash at different points of the game, and then there's people who actually beat the game. But for some reason, people who beat the game, they never said what build they have, or they say they have an Intel CPU and it just worked for them. And I just thought that was weird. Like, how come somebody can't tell me, okay, what's the deciding factor here? Why are some people able to play this game, other people are not? Because if you go on Reddit or Twitter, a lot of people have issues with this game. But then there's people who beat it. And so I just thought, right when you got on, I was like, you know what? And I saw this game, I was like, you know what? I switched my CPU. That could be it. Now, it might not be it, but I figure, hey, why not just try it and see? Yeah, and so let's just check it out real quick. Another thing, too, so because I have the TV, I run in 4K. So because I have a 4K TV, I run in 4K. Now, in a perfect world, I would like to drop it down to 1440 and max out everything. But for some reason, when I do 1440, it like, basically when I switch it to 1440, my 42-inch TV, it only utilizes like 27-inch. Like, it's like a square, and then the other part is like all black. What's up, brother? And so I can't figure that out. So I'm trying to get used to like doing 4K, but I don't like that. I want to do 1440 and have everything maxed out, but it's just really weird because you got the NVIDIA control panel, and some guy was explaining it to me, and I don't know how to explain it, because I just thought, okay, if I'm on a 4K TV, just kind of like when you're on a 1440 monitor and you go to 1080, usually it just kind of makes the letters bigger, kind of makes it bulkier. But then you can balance that out with like better, putting your settings up higher. And a guy told me he did that. He said on Reddit that he had a 4K TV in LG, and he just runs everything at 1440. And so I'm still trying to figure that part out. But anyways, my thoughts are kind of just all over the place. What's up, Taco? Let me see. Okay. Let me see. AMD Fidelity. That's probably the GPU. Off. 120 hertz. All right, here goes nothing. I just want to say I appreciate you guys being patient. Like I said, it's just things are a little, I'm still trying to work through things. And again, this is just such a new, it's like unfamiliar territory, like when I'm streaming and talking to people, because I'm just not used to that. I'm not used to people hanging out here. So I just want to say I appreciate you guys doing that. And I'm getting nervous. So I'm going to probably use the bathroom again, but I just like being upfront with you guys, It makes me feel good when I'm upfront and honest with you guys about what's going on and what I'm thinking. And all right, let's see if this works. Make sure I get sound. I don't know why I didn't have any music going. Yeah, I know. I haven't got a new one. So I had music, but for some reason it stopped playing. So hold on for a second. Does anybody know why it did that? Oh. Oh, there it is. Okay, so somewhere down the line, music stopped. Didn't even really notice it. All right. I'm going to use the restroom real quick, and we're going to test this. We're going to see if this works. If you guys don't mind being patient. See, like I said, it's crazy as much as I've streamed. It's like I went a whole 2 months without streaming. And it's like I played a little bit, but then when I played, I only played for like a half hour. Then I went another month without playing. It was just like, man. But I just want you guys to know that I love having you guys here, man. I really do. All right, let me try doing this real quick. It's just so much to it. Sometimes it's overwhelming. And if you listen, let's see. You can hear it kind of freezing if you listen closely. So we'll see. Now it's only doing that when I do the Alt Tab, so maybe if I don't do the Alt Tab. All right, so let's see. Oh, see, the graphics are already messing up. Oh, maybe not. All right. Now, all right, 1 second. Okay, so that's normal. It's supposed to do that. All right. Now, see, I'm going to show you something. So, it says 4K. Now, I'll show you. So I want to show you something. So I'm going to show you this screen right over here. Now pay attention to this screen. Now, this is my screen with all my stuff. The game's running at 4K. Now watch this. So we'll go to display. So we'll do 1440. Now, bear with me, but watch what happens to all these windows over here. Really don't want to do it because it's going to mess everything up, but screw it. Look at what happened to all the windows. Now, all right. Now, if you notice, oh, they all went back? No way. See how they all shifted? Now, I think I'm missing one. Okay, before it didn't do all that. Before, what happened was I switched it. Wait, last time I did that with the game, all my windows jacked up, and then when I declined it, when I wanted to revert it back, my windows didn't revert back. In this instance, they did, which is crazy. But it would mess up. Like, it would put, like, this window, half of this window over here, and I never understood that, why would it do that? And, like, so, if you can picture, this is a full screen. When I would try it with another game, basically what it would do is create a square on my TV. See, look at that. See? See? And when I Alt-Tab, maybe it'll bring it back. Now, it brings it back. So, but you see what I'm saying? So when I click on the game, it's going to flash. I'm not talking about the screen flash, and I know that's normal when you change the resolution. But I'm talking about how my windows all get jacked up. But see, now now they're fine. But now when I click on the game, because it's in 1440, all my windows are going to look all weird. And I don't think there's a way around it. Oh, so you're saying what I'm trying to do is normal? So does it have something to do with me trying to play 1440 on a 4K TV? Because here's something else that I tried. So I tried doing it this way with a couple games. Then I tried doing the NVIDIA control panel. And that just makes things even more confusing because, you know, you can change the resolution for that too. Now, one thing I didn't try is changing the resolution per game on there. Because you can go in and change it per game, but I would just change it in general. So basically what you're saying is I'm going to have to keep it at 4K. That's kind of what it sounds like, right? See? Hold on, let me see what your message says. See, now I can't even... Now it won't even... See what I'm talking about? You see what I'm talking about? They keep flashing. So that guy who said that he played on a 4K TV at 1440, was he giving me a bunch of bullshit then? Because he said he had this. He said he had a C4 TV, and he said he just kept playing at 1440. So he's lying then, right? Like, he's not really doing that? Because if he is, I wonder how he's doing it and how come I can't do it. Now, okay, what? Okay, that's weird. Why does it show? Just bear with me. I'm sorry. I'm not feeling too stressed out. I'm just a little agitated because it's like, you know, I'm trying to figure out why it does this. Find out if you can play 1440 on a 4K TV. Now, if you notice what happened when I switched it back to 4K, part of the screen I couldn't see. So when I would switch it to 1440, what it would do is it would basically take half my screen and only use half my screen. Yeah, I know, I got too many tabs. They're tabs I'm not even going to read, so I don't even know why I have it open. It's like Reddit tabs that, I don't know. See how my monitors keep flashing? Like, I don't even know how to stop that. Why does it... Now it's just changing. See what it's doing? See, it won't. See, now it switches, but it... Watch. Oh, you guys can't see. Here, let me show you what it's doing now. So watch when So I tried switching it. Now watch. Oh, see, now it shows. I know I'm not the best at explaining stuff, but... And look, I can move my mouse pointer, but look, the game is froze. So, right now, check this out. I'm going to show you something. You see how you can see my mouse move? I can't see my mouse move at all. Oh, what am I doing? Screen recording. Check this out. Now you see, you can see my mouse. Now watch this. Same screen. I don't even know why I'm doing this because I won't be able to share it with you. But basically, it's showing the game, but not showing the mouse on the game. Like, You see what I'm saying though? All right. I don't know how to share. I can't share a link on Twitch. I wish I could, or a picture. So, what the hell? Okay, so yeah, I'll show it to you. Hold on. Let me see if we can get this at least trying to work. See if we can do that. All right. Oh yeah. Okay, definitely. Yeah. Let me try this, and then I'll send you a picture of everything. My setup. Um. All right. I remember this was also messed up when I used to do HDR. It used to look all bright. Let's see what it looks like now. Oh. That ain't bad. Now here's the thing. Right now, so right now it's showing what you guys see, just a square, like on my TV. So it's not utilizing. Oh wait, hold up. Oh, that's probably why. Oh, okay. So I had display capture on OBS, but if I put game capture, it should utilize the whole screen. Because right now you don't see. All right, let me see. Okay, so. Oh, that would be. Oh, canvas size. Well, in game capture, it shouldn't matter, right? So game capture should. There we go. Okay. Now see, here we go. So on the right side of my monitor, on my right monitor, so it won't show my chat for some reason if I'm in game capture. So I gotta Alt Tab, but watch, everything's gonna flash again. So maybe you're right. Maybe I need to go and display capture and change the canvas size and not do game capture. Cause see, so here, let me show you something. So like, look at that. All right, there's the game. There's that. Okay, you don't see the game when the game comes in focus. Oh. So I want to use full screen borderless. Is that what I want to use when it's available? I thought full screen borderless means your mouse can go outside the screen. Don't you want the mouse locked into the screen? Okay. I trust you then. You're probably right. So, okay. So we'll do, okay, so. Which one should I turn off? Full screen or exclusive full screen? That might be it. Hold on, let's see if that works. It literally says this can make switching programs more cumbersome. All right, so that. Hold on, let's see if that worked. And look what happened when I turned off full screen or exclusive full screen. It went back to 2560 by 1440. But actually, that's kind of what I want. So I guess I'm kind of happy there. Unless you think I should just turn full screen off, period. You think I should just turn it off, period? Oh, and the side. No? Okay. All right. See, now this is actually what I've been wanting. 2560 by 1440 and being able to crank up all the graphics as opposed to doing 4K and turn down the graphics. So all right. Let me use the restroom real quick and let's try this and then I'll show you my setup and stuff. I'm not going to play long. I just want to test it out. This is awesome, man. This is good. I like this. Well, I tried. Because I haven't talked to you in a long time, I don't want to just out of the blue call you. Did you test me? Oh my God. I was recording a video that whole time. All right. Yeah, you can add me. Oh, I see. You didn't want. I see. Okay. At first, when you first said that, don't say it out loud. But now I see why you said that. All right. So let's try this. Let's see how it goes. Check it out. All right. But I'm telling you, other games wouldn't allow me to do this. And I want to show. Hopefully, I can show you an example. But I'd go to 1440, and basically what it would do is do that little square thing, where it would only show a square, a portion of my. It wouldn't utilize my full TV real estate. All right, I'm gonna use bathroom. I'm gonna test this out. I'll know it'll work within like 5 minutes because the game would crash all the time. Like right when I jumped into battle and like kill 5 enemies, it just crashed. All right, so let me use restroom and we'll test this out. God, it looks really good. See, I had no idea that certain games were CPU focused and others were GPU. And I certainly wouldn't have thought that the games that I like to play were CPU focused. I just thought, which I was wrong, but I just thought that the games that I like to play were focused, use more GPU based, and I guess the ones I do like to play are CPU based. So, but you know what? That makes sense of why I couldn't crank everything up. Because I'm like, damn, I got a 30 series. I mean, shoot, I should be able to, crank everything up. But I guess my CPU was dated. I'll be right back. I'll show you my setup. I want to test this. I'm going to be really excited if this works. I don't know. Taco stopped by, but man, he was like, I ain't putting up with that. Oh, real quick. So if I do canvas size, if I stay on display capture, oh, it's because it's locked. That's probably why. Does it still let me? That's probably why it wouldn't give it to me when I right click it, because I have it locked. But when I do canvas size, can I do that in game capture, or is that only in display capture? Or is it in settings that I do that? Because what makes it even more confusing is 4K TV, 1440, but my settings are obviously 1080 because that's the most Twitch will let me do. You see what I'm saying? I think it's settings. I got confused because so right here. But see, canvas. But see, I always thought there was a thing when you right click on a when you right click in your OBS preview, it would allow you to fill the screen up. You know, like it does it for images, for like a background. So maybe it's different for the video. But you know how when you right click, it will say, hey, spread out that image for the whole screen. All right, I'm going to use the bathroom real quick. I'm excited. And who's that? Hey, who's Mick? Is that your... Is he related to you, Mick? Or no? Because I got a request from somebody named Mick. Okay. Just wondering. All right. I'm going to use the bathroom. Be right back. And I also want to know what games you've been playing. What games you're looking forward to. Oh, one thing I do want to talk about some games that that are coming out. They got this game that just came out, and it actually looked interesting. It's called South of Midnight, or South from Midnight, and it looked fun. But I guess the launch was terrible. So, anyways, I'll be right back. Petting the pussycat. Petting the pussycat. Oh, by the way, last thing. I don't know if you remember, but, I live in Gainesville, and we won the championship last night in men's basketball. And boy, do I didn't party or drink last night. I did go out and drink about 4 Red Bulls. Probably only a sober person out on the street, but literally the street was covered in people by the college. There's a guy, if you Google it, there's a guy who was literally bouncing on a traffic pole. And so it was one of those traffic poles that go up and the pole goes perpendicular to the road. And he was bouncing on it and he fell. Crazy. Yeah. That was dumb. But the rest of the stuff wasn't that bad. It was like people just filled the streets. There were cops, but people were there was just so many people. And it's probably the first time I went to something like that, not partying or drink. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, it was, let me show you something. See if I can find that picture. There's this picture that, oh my want to just show it to you. It's crazy. I don't got my glasses on, so I don't know what that person's saying. Hold on. Oh. Where'd it go? Oh. Sorry, Dara, my OCD's getting to me. Yeah, right? Alright. Sorry, Dara, I'd like to... Hold on. Man. Sorry, guys, my OCD, I just get like, I don't know. I'm not like nervous, I don't know. Things have to be perfect. All right, let's try this. Let's see if it works. All right. All right. So. All right. Let's see if it works. Let's see if it works. All right. Fort, heroic, character, aim, counter. Alright, let's try this. Alright. See, part of the screen's not even on. See what I'm talking about? So does that mean I gotta change the resolution? You see how some of the parts of the screen are going off? Oh. Well, no, it doesn't matter. It wouldn't matter if it's on game capture or display capture because it's doing it for me too. You want to turn that off? Let's see if that works. This might be what I need to do. But see, watch what happens when I go to play. See? It's like it's Oh. I'm an idiot. Here I thought, Jesus, I'm dumb, man. I'm like, why is half of it off the screen? That's because that's the way it's supposed to be. I'm sorry, guys, for taking a while, man. I just not used to it. Man, now I'm getting really anxious. I'm sorry, y'all. Ugh. Then I get anxious and I get nervous and I just get overwhelmed, and it's like, come on, Tony, you got it, man, you got it. All right. Oh. There we go. All right. Now let's try it. All right. So this is the see if maybe it'll work. It might work. It might have been the CPU that was causing it to crash all the time. And the crazy thing with this game too is like people who are on Xbox, it's like the only console game that I've heard that crashes as much as it does. Oh my god. All right, hold up. See, this is just counter. Interact. Heavy attack. It's not. Bear with me. Sensitivity's crazy, man. All right. Oh, I see. So support, heroic, aim. And I suck, dude. This is what I get for not gaming that, like. What I do for not gaming, like, it's been so long since I just played a game. But I feel excited about being here, man, because I love you guys, man. I really do.
Subject to 1102 can clone herself almost perfectly, with the exception of a slight color variation in the eyes.
The cells are splitting down the center, creating two separate individuals. It's like the planarian flatworm, only human.
Exactly. And can retain all the memories of the original subject. 0925 can create powerful...
So, I'm going to try something real quick. So, this is a story, but now I'm starting to realize the Avengers mode is the one that would not work. So, let's see if that works. So, the Avengers Initiative. I'm going to be such in a good mood if this game actually works and doesn't crash on me. I appreciate you guys being patient with me, man. Like I said, I know I've said it before, but, you know, I've been really spending a lot of time working and doing things, but I promise you I'm going to get to a point where I'm just going to be able to go live and I'll have somewhat of a normal stream.
Used to being needed.
Let's continue to do good, not for glory or vanity, for its own sake.
No, it's alright, Dara. Do your thing. Because I'm just trying to make sure this game works. Because that would be awesome if it did. This is the mode that it would crash on. So I want to jump into a match. Because it would crash right on the bridge after like 5 minutes of playing. trying to get to the. Maybe this wasn't it, but I remember jumping into a. The hell?
Not sure how everybody walks around this place like nothing happened here. But good on you all. Clearly didn't need me to rebuild. Let's get me back.
I'm trying to find out how I. No problem, Dara. I'll show you my setup tomorrow. I'll send you some pictures. I'm sorry for being a little slow. I just get. I don't know. It's like every time I stream, it's just. Like, I love it. It's just. I just think of something that I'm trying to work on, and I apologize.
So used to being alone in this pile of junk feels a little weird to have people around again. A good weird, though.
It's. I miss you and always love you and think about you. Just know that. So if anybody's lurking, I'm trying to figure out. Like, basically, I don't stream that much, and so I'm trying to, like, when I try to play a game, and I just think, oh, I want to work on this, I want to work on this, I want to check this out, and I just go down a rabbit hole of random shit, and and so I don't even know. Trying to just. How do I accept a mission? This way? I just appreciate everybody who attempts to understand me, man. I don't mean to be difficult or challenging. I just get overwhelmed, but I'm working through it. I want to continue work through it, and I'm not going to give up. And if people think I'm weird, or well, I can't control that. But I want to find out how to start a mission in this game. It's been so long, I forgot how I did that.
I should probably do something about those wires someday. Sure glad I kept a spare here. You cheat in one chair race, and they steal your wheels. Almost time to restock this thing. Jarvis, any chance you can read all these memos for me? Oh, don't pull that regularly scheduled maintenance crap. I know you can hear me.
So I don't even know. I think I gotta go to the wherever the lightning bolt is. Oh, this is confusing. That's him real quick. All right.
In case you've forgotten, the harm room is down the stairs through the doors and to your right.
Thank you for that unnecessarily specific direction, Jarvis. I'm headed downstairs. Do I know Agent Wu?
You gave him a wedding present.
Was it a nice present?
You haven't equipped my programming with such value judgments.
Nice dodge. Hey, buddy, I hear you set up the harm room for me?
Oh, right, yeah.
You're a gentleman and a scholar, buddy. Thanks.
The Harm Room offers you a place to test your skills in a controlled environment using Stark's holographic augmented reality machine. Complete Harm training to learn vital skills and new techniques. Then step into the Harm challenges to show them off. Once you've completed the series of Harm challenges, you'll unlock a daily activity that will award comic books upon completion. If you're looking to get a bit more creative, Agent Wu has developed a program where you can customize the Harm Room to your own specifications. The custom Harm Room and all other Harm activities can be accessed from the War Table. Have fun.
that's cool. I'm gonna get something to eat. I'm hungry. See, after doing this for a while, actually, I'm gonna try the hunting game, and then I'm gonna see if yeah, I like this. Like I'm having a blast. All right, let me try something real quick. Try something. I love you guys, dude. I really do. Let me try. Let me see if the hunting game is gives me any issues. Shouldn't, but it might. Let's see. Called Wild. All right. All right. That's weird. Mm-hmm. All right. Just trying to test out the game, making sure everything's working right. And it seems like it is. Obviously, don't remember my keybinds exactly, but I need a gun that's need a gun that's like for level 1. No, see, no. See, I don't have no weapon that's for level 1. See, I need a gun that's for level 1. And I don't have that, I don't think. I might already mess with it then. why. Okay. You too, Zoe. Miss you, brother. We'll have to catch up later, man. Because things have been kind of going crazy. I've been kind of... Things overall are getting good, but I'll share with you when we got some time. I'm just kind of testing games out now because I upgraded my system. But yeah, we'll pick one of these times and talk, man. Because I want to find out how you're doing, man. I miss you. I really do. Alright, so... Hold on. Of course, brother. Just like I mentioned, as somebody who I talked to, haven't talked to in about 6 months. She came in earlier this stream, and just know that if we don't talk a lot, man, I always think about you. And no matter what, we'll stay connected, and we'll, you know, if we go like a period of time where we don't talk, I know that's life, and just know that I'll never forget you, man, and I'll always be here for you, and we'll always find time to, you know, make it work. See, so 357 ammo. I don't have no 357 ammo. Like I said, the reason my streams have been the way they are, yeah, go to sleep, is just because I'm not used to it. I'm trying to get back in the swing of things, so it takes a while. You know, storage. $357. Do I have any 350? Oh, I do. How much do I have? Galileo muzzleloader. So yeah, okay, cool. Oh no, I want that one. Oh shoot. See, what would I do without you? I love you guys, man. What up, brother? Oh my gosh, dude. All these people coming to say what's up. Sorry. I'm just testing something real quick, man, but we're gonna have to catch up another one of these days, y'all. Things have been kind of crazy, man. I just want you guys to know, and I told Dara this, that I love you guys, and you know, I've kind of been a little all over the place, but just know that I care about you guys, and life has been really getting to me. Not in a bad way, not that I want you to feel sorry for me, but just things have been kind of pretty hectic. And right now I'm just testing the game, a couple games out real quick, and just kind of seeing how things work, because I upgraded my setup. So just give me some time, and I promise you I'll find one of these times where I'll stream and we'll just catch up on everything, man. Because man, I love having you guys in the community, man, and I went far too long without showing my appreciation. So I just want you guys to know that I love you guys, man. I really do. Oh shoot. What the hell? Oh boy. Why does it automatically? Man, it's just been hectic, Nick. I'm gonna have to. Maybe we can wait a stream where I can start from the beginning and let you know how things been going, man. Because it's been kind of crazy, and I don't want to miss anything, and I want, you know, I don't want to just leave anything out, because I want to tell you exactly everything that's been going on and why I haven't been around. This is like probably since I talked to you, my 5th time streaming. It's crazy, but I want to get back into it, and I'm going to. I've been trying to juggle life and girlfriend, and you know, my grandmother. I don't think I talked to you since my grandmother passed in August, and that was really hard for me. So I'm trying to get back in the swing of things. It's a little hard. It's hard mentally. Not really hard any other way, but mentally it's difficult. Yeah, it's just things have been just really hectic, man. So I don't want you to think I don't want to share nothing with you. I just want to, you know, it's like I just want to, you know, I want to do it right when I explain it to you guys because that's the least I can do. Let's see, 4, 5. All right. So right now I'm just testing game out because I upgraded my hardware, and I'll explain that to you when I explain everything else, just so it makes sense, you know. I don't want to give you guys no spotty excuses or anything like that. I want you guys to know, because you guys are honestly, and I don't do this to make anybody feel bad, but you guys are the closest thing to friends I have, and so you know, I'm gonna be upfront and honest with you about everything, and that's just the way it's gonna be, whether it's embarrassing or what. So I'm gonna try to do a hunt real quick, just kind of see how the game runs, because I updated my hardware and I'm playing on a TV now and not a monitor, and so okay, let me make sure I'm doing it right. Okay. So, oh, that's right. I don't even need to. So, what I do, okay, so I'll explain to you. So, initially I wanted to upgrade everything. I wanted to upgrade my GPU. Well, to upgrade that, I would need to update my CPU. To upgrade that, I would have to upgrade motherboard. So, I was thinking about, man, I really don't want to do it all at once, especially now buy a GPU, because that was just going to cost too much money for all that stuff. So I decided to get a CPU, motherboard, and RAM. Now, I had some issues with my RAM, and I explained that to Dara, and it was really crazy. My RAM wasn't working. It wasn't the right RAM. But I ended up upgrading my CPU, my motherboard, and my RAM. And so I went DDR5 and basically upgrading everything aside from the GPU. So when I do upgrade that, I'll be set for a few years, 5, 6 years. And in doing so, I was also looking into like a possible another monitor. Didn't need one, but I mean, I just was like, hey, looking at monitors, and I kept seeing posts on people who have TVs. People play on OLED TVs, and obviously the refresh rate isn't as good, but everything else about a TV is just the same. And, obviously I play up close, so that can be an issue. And obviously if you play competitive games, it could be an issue. But a lot of people have been saying they're really glad they made this switch. Like, it's just so much more immersive. And so I found a used TV, last year's model. Well, I actually bought a used TV last year's model. I got it. It was all bent up. And so I ended up returning it because it had a crack and it was all bent up. And I ended up getting last year's model new, which is actually really cheap because they just came out with this year's model. And obviously it went with a 42-inch, something to fit on my desk. And so that's that with the upgrades. So that's kind of like my present to myself. Crazy enough, I'm actually on vacation now. But basically since January, actually since December. Well, I took a vacation the last week of December, a couple days. So basically since the first week of January, I've been working Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 12-hour shifts, 5 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. No days off. and then working Monday and Tuesday overtime. But I go in Monday, Tuesday night, so I don't have to wake up early on Monday for overtime. So in terms of like getting rest, it works pretty good. In terms of free time, it doesn't. Because by the time I get off Wednesday morning, I go to bed Wednesday at like 9 in the morning because I worked until 4:30, hour 5. And I go back to work Friday morning. So basically, I only get like a day and a half off. So it's good because it keeps my mind busy, and I like going to work. I like it. But like right now, I'm on vacation, and I've been on vacation since last Tuesday, and I'm enjoying it, and I'm starting to realize what I miss about having time off. Because when I'm working all the time, I like it because I'm making money. I can still buy stuff, but I really don't have time to do anything. But I don't mind it like that. But now that I have time, it's like, okay, I kind of like having some time to myself. So I want to try to think of a way to, instead of take one big block of time off. No, I bought the parts, but I had this local shop put it in. They're the same place that did my cooler and my GPU. Because I know if I would have done it, first of all, I probably would have screwed something up. Second of all, it wouldn't look nice. It looked like it wouldn't look good. They did a really good job. No. Zydex did my old stuff. So when I first got my PC, it was made to order. So not necessarily pre-built, but I told them, hey, this is what I want. And they made it. Built it. And having that, my cooler has went bad, and I also upgraded my GPU. Oh, no, I still have it. But I don't know if you want, Dara was asking me that too, but. Well, that's not what I was hearing. A lot of people were telling me it was getting dated. So, here, let me explain. So, one thing I've realized over the last 6 months is that some games are focused more on CPU and some are on GPU. Now, most of the games I like Cyberpunk, Elden Ring, Grand Theft Auto, those type of games, I didn't know this, but those games are CPU bound. And one thing I was realizing with those games is that I could crank up the graphics, but once I turn on like ray tracing, or like if I cranked up all the way up, it wouldn't. My FPS would tank, like 20 FPS on Cyberpunk, 20 FPS on GTA, and I say, how is this happening? I thought I had a good setup. So then 1440 is both. Is that what you're saying? 1440 kind of shares. But like, so when I would run 1440, like, here's what it would do. So, and this is what actually I tried. So, for instance, Elden Ring. I think it has something to do too, now that I think about it, the massive world. I think that has something to do with probably why. But I would crank everything all the way up. And at first, like 2 years ago, I thought, man, I could crank everything up and Cyberpunk and ray tracing. And maybe at one point I could, but I think Cyberpunk had an update. Something happened. But it was like last summer. So, like Elden Ring, Cyberpunk, same example, but I've cranked up Elden Ring, and I was like, okay, I should be able to, this is a seemingly, shouldn't take as much resources as Cyberpunk. So cranked everything up on Elden Ring, cranked up the ray tracing, everything, all the way maxed out. And what would happen is my FPS would drop to like 28, or on Elden Ring it wasn't that bad, but it was like 36. It would go below 40, or right around 40. And I was like, okay, what's going on here? And asked some questions, and a lot of people said my CPU was old. That was like the main thing that I was getting. I was like, why is this happening? One of the reasons I have my setup is so I don't have to deal with this. But then I tried it with Cyberpunk, and literally my FPS would drop to like in the 20s, and I was like, all right, something's not going on here now. You know, now I have 64 gigabyte RAM, but I have the high end AMD CPU, and I went with a board that's DDR5. So everything basically upgraded, but that was the driving force to why I upgraded. Same for Grand Theft Auto. If I played that and cranked everything up, and I'm not even talking about online, I'm talking about just story mode, cranked it all up, I mean, it would tank under 30 FPS. And so I just talked to people. I said, what do I got to do to not have that? I want to be able to crank everything up so I not deal with that. And they said, well, this is what you would have to do. You know, I tell them my specs, and I say, well, I got 32 gigabyte RAM. They say, well, that's fine. I tell my motherboard, I guess that was, motherboard usually, I don't think ever like a bottleneck. Maybe it is at some point, but I never really hear about the motherboard being the issue. But then it would get around to my CPU. They're like, yeah, well, your CPU is like 5 years old, you know. Some of the newer games, you know, the newer ray tracing features, it's not going to... So, that was the driving force to get an update. If I didn't have that issue, I would have never updated. Oh, no, I would have never updated. Because I was looking at, like, what to run some of these newer games, and some of them, there's a few of them where you need a 40 series to max everything out. Like a 4070. I think the most I've seen is like a 4080. And I think that's like Black Myth Wukong or something like that. If you wanted to max everything out. And I think Microsoft Flight Simulator is like a 4090. If you want to max it all out. But I was just going on Reddit, different forums, and saying, hey, what do I need to not have to deal with this? I only game maybe an hour a week, sometimes not at all, sometimes 4 hours a month, sometimes no hours a month, you know. I want to be able to crank everything up and not deal with all this shit. I just want to crank it up, look nice, and that's just the way it is. And that's what I want. And it just came down to CPU. And because I was going with a new CPU, I had to get a new board. So, you know, and then I explained this to Dara that initially I bought this Patriot RAM, and I don't know, when it comes to cheap RAM, I don't know how much that plays into it. But I got this Patriot RAM, and it wasn't giving me any issues, but I found out just from kind of trying to figure things out that it was cheap RAM. And so I just told myself, well, I got a good motherboard and a good CPU. I might as well just get some better RAM. I mean, there's no point in having cheapy RAM. So I got Corsair RAM. And now, I didn't realize everybody overclocks their RAM. It's just what everybody does. Most people do it. I personally didn't want to do that. So, yeah. Now, initially, I bought this RAM. And now that you say that, people said this RAM sucks. Now, it was Corsair RAM. But it was, let's see, where is it at? Let me show it to you. Now, I don't know, when something's 5200, people were saying that's trash. Now, I don't know, it doesn't seem like it would be trash. It just seems like it's not as good as 6000, but it seems like it would be good RAM for the simple fact that it's Corsair, you know? I mean, if it's not 6000, is that going to be like the bottleneck to my setup? Well, when you say extremely, what are you talking about? You talking about not for gaming type bad? Or just like if you play like Minecraft and Fortnite type games, it's good? Because to me, 800 doesn't seem like that big of a difference. Maybe it is in RAM. So this was the RAM. Now, mind you, I wasn't going to overclock. So, and now I see, because, like, obviously better RAM is around the 190, 209 range. Well, not, so, hear me out. So this is the RAM I bought. Now, just hear me out. Now, this is the RAM I bought. And if you look here, I changed to an AMD CPU. Ryzen 7 9800. Or, yeah. That's 3D. Now, again, my idea is get good enough stuff where I didn't have to overclock anything. So hear me out. And I'm reading what you're writing. So I said, okay, well, Corsair RAM's good. I didn't really look at this. I just thought, hey, Corsair RAM's good. DDR5. Boom. So initially I had Patriot RAM. And then I found out, like I mentioned earlier, that it's just kind of lower end RAM. I said, okay, I want to get some better RAM. So I didn't ask for any. People said stay away from Corsair RAM, but you know, people say that not because it's bad RAM, just because they've had bad experiences with it. But I was like, all right, I'm gonna go find some better RAM. Obviously, Corsair's name brand, so I picked this up. Now, if you look, it says Intel XMP. Now, mind you, I have a AMD CPU. But XMP is for the overclocking. So remember, I don't plan on overclocking. However, even though I don't plan on overclocking, or anybody, what would happen is the shop still had my computer, and they put this in there. They would it's like a profile. But basically what it would do is they would start up my computer, and for 15 minutes, it would say something. They didn't show me the screen, but they said something to the effect of locating or installing XMP profile or something like that. But because I didn't have Intel, it was almost like it had a failsafe. So it would try doing that for 10 to 15 minutes, and then it would eventually boot up. And they couldn't figure out what the problem is. Now, hear me out. You know, I don't expect the computer shop to know every problem or issue, but they were going to figure it out. Well, I came home and did some research, and that's when I found out that there was certain RAM. Not all RAM can be worked. You know, not all RAM can work with all boards. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, but the computer shop told me there's no such thing as a brand-specific RAM that you need for certain boards manufacturers. Now, hear me out. So, people were saying, okay, I said I didn't want to overclock. Some people was like, well, you got Intel RAM. You need AMD RAM. And that's when I thought XMP was just overclocking. So, this is when I found out that every board has, on every board manufacturer website, they have specific RAM that they've tested to make sure that works. So I went Asus and I looked up my board, and they have all different types of brands. There's not a ton options, but there's quite a bit. You don't have to pick one from this list, but if you don't, you usually have to mess with something like the timings and things like that. So I was like, well, did some more research, and I started asking people in Discord and Reddit, do I have to get RAM that's on this board, or can I just get whatever RAM I want? I get both answers. And that's when I found out that this is RAM that's been tested, but then other people said, oh, that list is just to sell more RAM. That's just a marketing thing. That's just, they pay to that, you know. But it wouldn't be all brand RAM. Like, it'll have Kingston RAM, but it will say exactly what model to use. It wouldn't say, like, all Kingston. And they did it with Corsair. Corsair, I think there's 2 models. G-Steel, there was like 3 or 4. Team Group, there were 3 or 4. So they had specific RAM, like specific sticks too. Like the Kingston, I think 16 sticks worked. The 32 sticks were not on that list. That's just an example. So I decided, I told the computer shop that. They're like, oh, well, no, any RAM should work. And then I told them, you know what, I'm just going to buy this RAM. And I ended up going with I know this sounds confusing. I'm trying my best. I ended up going with this. Well, I'd rather talk to a person than that, but eventually I'll probably end up using that. But yeah, I don't. This is like the only time I do research like this. It was because in the process of upgrading. I don't sit on my computer and just research stuff. I mean, I do sometimes, but usually I'm working. So this was like, yeah, I agree. I actually just asked somebody on Reddit. I just posted something on Reddit literally today. I can show you. So I tried using Grok or whatever the X version. I have X Premium, whatever Elon Musk AI is, and it doesn't. My question was, how do I get it? I don't think I'm wording things right because I don't get what I'm looking for. I don't know how to say stuff, and I've since got quite a few responses, and I haven't read them all. But someone I've seen mentioned this is the wording you got to use for it to work. Because it's a machine, so it's only gonna, I can't just say, hey, make me a photo of always cloudy and me, beating someone's ass. You can't say it like that. You got to use certain words. Stuff like that. And I know that, but I don't know what those words are. And, on the surface, ChatGPT seems like a very simple thing to use. But in terms of, like, using it for, like, images, it's actually, to me, actually, someone who's not a tech enthusiast, it's kind of complicated. If you're trying to get a specific photo or image or stuff like that, Like the preset stuff that some of these websites have, that's different. But I'm saying trying to create something from scratch. Like someone created some really cool images of like Trump, and how they do that. Like these images, they don't look real, but they look unique enough that, it could almost be pushed off as real. And I know someone had to word that specifically to get something like that. You know what I'm saying? So I got this RAM. They plugged it in. And so that Corsair RAM, basically what my computer would do, for 15 minutes, it would say loading profile or searching for profile or whatever for 15 minutes. And then it would eventually load up. And obviously that's a problem. So that's when I told them, well, let me get RAM on this list. So I got this. And this was the... I guess I picked this because I was familiar with it from my old RAM, and I just know it's popular RAM. And somebody said too that they actually have a really good warranty program. G-Steel, they have a good manufacturer warranty. So not the reason I got it, but yeah. And obviously you see AMD Expo, and so I was like, oh God, please. So the other thing about this shop too, they're not huge fans of overclocking anything. And also, too, they're not huge fans. Now, you can say whatever you want, but I trust them. They're good people. And I don't expect every computer shop to do this. But they don't really mess with timings and stuff like that. Like, if I really wanted to keep that Corsair RAM for whatever reason, I would have to go in and look it up, what the timings were, and then go into the BIOS. But here's another issue that was happening. So before I got the Corsair RAM, without getting too complicated, I went into my BIOS. So I started up my computer with this Patriot RAM, and it wanted me to hit some buttons to go directly into BIOS. At the time, I didn't have my monitors plugged in, so I actually shut my computer off, holding the button down. And then I started my computer back up. Now, because it gave me that BIOS message, I went on Discord and I said, hey, can someone help me with this? I just want to go into my BIOS, make sure everything's working right. So we got into my BIOS. Now, pay attention to this. I'm trying not to sound too complicated. So got into my BIOS, and first of all, I was taking pictures with my phone and sending it on the disk server, just showing people, hey, this is what my BIOS looks like. You know, I just wanted to make sure everything was good. You know, because I know the computer shop doesn't like messing with it. Just want to make sure everything's good. And first thing they say is your BIOS is outdated. Yeah, but it was doing that every time. Every time they restarted my computer, it was doing that. With the Corsair RAM. With the Patriot RAM, it wasn't doing it, but that's when I found out in the BIOS and through other people that Patriot RAM was trash. And I didn't want to have not so good RAM, but have good everything else. Like, that was just a personal thing of mine. So I got into BIOS. The first thing people were saying was it was an outdated version of BIOS. And it looked very outdated. It was like some beta version. It just looked very old. And I know BIOS is different than the rest of the graphics on a computer. I know BIOS isn't usually the sexiest thing to look at, but it looked old and dated. And so I wanted to try to update it. Now, pay attention to this. So, you know, people, when they update their BIOS, use a flash drive. Yes, but you don't have to just use a flash drive. There's other ways to do it. One of the other ways is you can actually download a file from the manufacturer website. It's very specific, but you don't have to have a drive. You can do it from downloading a file. And I said, you sure? And yeah. And like even my board actually has a flash BIOS USB port. My old board didn't have that. But anyways, what was happening was I was trying to do these things on my BIOS. I was like, you know what? Why not? Let's just go for it. I was getting these administrative restrictions. I'm the only person who uses this PC. So there must have been something that was done. And 90% of the stuff, 99% of the stuff that I need to do, run as admin, I don't ran into an issue with. But it started to say you need administrative privileges with the BIOS. Now, obviously there's a technical thing going on there because there's nobody else who uses this computer. So there's something that I have locked, there's something that I restricted myself from doing. And I didn't want to find out, I didn't want to go into that rabbit hole and find out what that was, because it was probably some deep permission that it's probably what it was. Because I had my Windows, you talk about like the Windows Defender stuff, disable all that. I see, that makes sense. Because it wasn't exactly saying you don't have administrative privileges, but it was a very similar message like you don't have permission to do this. It was a lot more technical wording, but it was basically saying you can't do this. And it let me download the file because I downloaded that off the website. But when I was looking, I went into BIOS, and then you go under, like, you basically are searching for a file, like there's File Explorer on your Windows. There's something similar to that in the BIOS. And I would look for that file I downloaded. And when it gave me an issue, I said, okay, I'm not going to fuck with this anymore. I know if I do something wrong, I didn't want to brick my PC. I mean, I don't think I would, but I just didn't. I know BIOS, you don't want to fuck with that if you don't know what you're doing. So, took my computer back to the shop. I was like, yo, guys, could you update this thing? Here's something else that's crazy. I didn't have a USB stick. I think I did at one point. I gave it to somebody. Could I have bought one for $10? Yes. But even if I did, I didn't feel comfortable doing the update anyways. Since they updated everything, or since they installed everything, I was like, give it to them. Let them do it. You know, they can let it sit. They can make sure it's running good. So when I took it back, that was when I had the Patriot RAM. And so they updated the BIOS. And then in updating the BIOS, that's when they added the Corsair RAM. That's when I had the issues with the loading XMP profile. It wouldn't load. And then in that instance, they had my computer for like 4 days. And I decided, you know what? I'm just going to get RAM on this list. because they weren't too familiar with the whole. They weren't familiar with certain RAM would only work with certain things. Now, here's the kicker. Before I bought the G Steel RAM, there was a guy in a Discord, or it was a Facebook group. He had the same exact issue. And get this. So he upgraded his DDR4 setup to a DDR5. New motherboard, AMD CPU, and I think he had like a 3080 or something. He ran into the same issue, and he said he talked to Asus support, and he said there is an issue with DDR5 and RAM, and that certain RAM just won't work. Now, I said, okay, well, whatever. But then when I read the reviews of the Corsair RAM on Newegg and DDR5 reviews on Amazon and Newegg, not everybody, but quite a few people said this board is amazing, this CPU is amazing. Other than the RAM, everything's great. And so I seen that other people were having problems with the RAM. And I think it was the CPU. At the end of the day, I think it was people love the new CPU, but the Corsair wasn't exactly working with AMD CPUs. So, yeah. Now, that's when someone said you can get any RAM to work, but you got to go in and mess with the timings. And they said usually you can just look it up. Yeah. Now this computer shop been open for a while, and maybe there's always been some restrictions, but that guy who told me that he had the same problem and talked with Asus support, he said as far as he knows, when it came to DDR4, you had a lot more freedom to use different RAM. Yeah, I was trying to do two things at once. I wanted my BIOS updated, just in case if I ever wanted to get in there, because it was an outdated version. Now check this out. Here's something else that's crazy. So I posted on it was either the Ryzen or AMD subreddit, and you know how I told you that my version of BIOS seemed like a outdated or like a beta version. So Asus updated that. I guess it's based by board, but my specific board had 4 or 5 BIOS updates in the last 6 months, which is a lot. And 2 of them were beta, and 3 or 4 of them were normal. And so it kind of makes sense that, because his point of saying that was sometimes you need to have a specific version of BIOS running to get that RAM to work. That was another thing that could possibly be the problem. Is you need to have, if you have you would have to run a certain version of BIOS to get that RAM to work, and I don't know how you would figure that out, but. And again, I'm sure not all these issues were the actual issue, but they were, I don't think people were totally making this up, but they said this was probable. But when I first told people, hey, my computer's in the shop, why is my computer not loading? And I showed them the RAM, they're like, oh, you got Intel RAM. And that's when I went to the shop, and that's when they said there's no such thing as Intel RAM or AMD RAM, but they weren't familiar with DDR5. And, they're good people. They know what they're doing. They just, I don't expect them to know everything. And, they're not like they're an older shop. They do a lot of stuff for older people. So they're not used to they do high-end stuff, but not that often. And so, and DDR5 isn't really that common. And so, I'm trying to give them a break because I don't expect them to know everything. And obviously you got people in comments, oh, don't take it there no more. No, they do a good job, man. And so they just didn't know exactly how that worked. It's kind of like And when I called them up and told them, I actually sent them a couple emails when they were closed. And as I was learning stuff, I was like, hey, try this. Hey, try this. And I called them the next day and I said, hey, guys, I don't want you guys to be upset with me, man. I'm just kind of doing some research on it and sharing with you guys what I find just to help you guys. And they were really cool with it. They're like, yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. And then that's when we found out about the Intel AMD Expo. And then that's when I went with this RAM. And yeah. So. Yeah. And this RAM was actually the Corsair RAM on the board website. They had Corsair RAM, but it wasn't the 32 gig. It was or 32 gigabyte sticks. It was 16. And actually, what someone pointed out, and I think it's true, all the Corsair RAM that works with AMD is all RGB. And another thing I've noticed too, so one other thing I've noticed is a lot of RAM was labeled, if it was Intel, if it was AMD RAM, it will work on Intel, but if it was Intel RAM, it necessarily won't work on AMD. That was another thing I was starting to see, if that made sense. So like if it was Intel RAM, it would only work for Intel. But like my RAM's AMD, I was told that this might actually work on an Intel CPU. It's just kind of like that, you know, that weird backwards compatibility type thing. What, there's so much better? See, I just typed in DDR5. I don't even know. What? So you talking about speed? Well, so looking at my board list of the verified RAM that works, there was some RAM that worked really fast, but it was like weird stick amounts. Like it was a 24 gigabyte, which I've never even heard of. You know, I've never even heard of somebody having that. Obviously, you know, people do because they have it. And then there was other sticks that were the Nets division. So it's, what do you have? 24, 48. There's actually sticks of RAM that are 48 apiece. And I didn't do no research on those, but I told the computer shop and they were familiar with it. And there's actually sticks that have more RAM than that. Like there's sticks that have like, I forgot what they said, 64 in one stick of RAM. So when you mean frequency, what are you talking about? You talking about the 96 right here? Is that what you're talking about? Okay. Yeah, so the 24 gigabyte RAM, I think that was I don't know, the 7,000 make sense? It was like 7,000, 8,000. Let me see if I can. Okay, let's see where. I want to see if I can find that site. Oh, QVL list. That's right. Let's see if I can. I want to show it to you. You probably already know what I'm talking about. Oh yeah. But yeah, they had RAM that was like 24 gigabyte sticks, and I just thought that was weird or unique, and I didn't want to do that. Yeah, that was, there we go. Yeah. But I mentioned to him about the RAM, and just from, I did just a little bit of googling, and I guess sometimes RAM that isn't as popular, sometimes it can give you issues, you know. So I have 2 sticks of 32. But it was just like what people were telling me is just not as simple as just getting better RAM. It doesn't always work like you know. I will say that one of the Corsair models, Dominator, I think it's called. That's some expensive ass RAM. It was like for 32 gigabyte Dominator RAM was like $250 or something like that. But it's probably better RAM, and that's for 32. And I'm running 64, and I got mine for about like 220 or 209. But remember, I got to get something on that list that's verified. So you're saying it would have been better to get 4 sticks of 16? See, some people said that, but a lot of people said it's not necessarily like that all the time. Like, it's not as easy as if you just get 4 sticks of 6. From what people are saying, they say, yeah, there's better ways to do it, but it necessarily doesn't always mean that it would work well or compatible. Well, I don't know. I just went with, nobody mentioned that. I guess I decided, I was like, well, I initially had 4 sticks of 8. Because when I got my PC built during the pandemic, that's all that was available. Initially, I was going to go with 2 16 sticks, but I got 4 sticks of 8. And again, I had nothing to compare it to, so it was just kind of like, yeah, go with that. So, but nobody mentioned get 4 sticks of 16. But I think, now that I think about it, the brands that were on this verified QVL list, they weren't. Some of them were some wild brands, like brands I never have heard of. Like, I've heard of Team Group, but there was some other one like Silicone something, and there was a lot of like brands that probably are good, but ones that I never heard of. And I just didn't want to go with I wanted to go with something that was a little more well known. And at the same time, you know, I had to select something. Well, I didn't have to, but I felt more comfortable selecting something from that list. So I mean, if somebody would have said something, I probably would have got the 4 sticks, but nobody said anything. I remember I said, so I'll just get 2 sticks at 32. They're like, yeah, that's fine. I want to say the only RAM that wasn't 6,000, that was higher than 6,000, was for 24 gigabyte sticks, and I just didn't feel comfortable buying those just because I've never heard anybody even use those, and I didn't know if maybe they mess with gaming or I didn't know I didn't know if maybe they exactly maybe weren't as compatible with gaming or maximize gaming experience. Let's see, I don't even. That's way above. Now that SK Hynix, they manufacture the chips on the Corsair sticks. Not all of them, some of them. I guess that's the way to do it. Like in a couple models of Corsair RAM, Corsair makes the chips, if that makes sense. It actually breaks it down on that site. It says, hey, this is the brand of the RAM, and then it will say who makes the chips. Now, I heard somebody mention that through conversation in New Age Discord, what you're talking about. I don't want to say I heard exactly that, but they mentioned that term, blue BDI, and yeah. So, now, so, normally when people talk about overclocking, normally when you read an article about overclocking, it's about overclocking your GPU. When I did the Intel XMP with my RAM when I first got my computer in 2020, I didn't really consider that overclocking, but I guess technically it is. When I wanted to upgrade here, because I know, overclocking is good, but it does shorten the lifespan, probably not by much, but I wanted to have a good setup where I didn't have to do any of that. I just want everything to run as it was intended. So that was one of the reasons why I had the XMP issue, because I just thought whenever somebody mentioned overclock, they mentioned Expo, overclock, XMP. And I told myself, well, I'm not going to overclock, so I shouldn't have to worry about that. Well, I guess now I know it's not exactly that, but, if I would have messed with the timings, it would have worked, but obviously I don't know how to do that, and the computer shop isn't comfortable with doing that. And they're not even comfortable with overclocking my RAM. Now, I can do it myself if I wanted to, but they just don't want to, I get it. They don't want to fuck with anything and ruin anything, burn anything up, shorten the lifespan. I get that. A lot of the stuff they work on, too, is like, non-gaming PCs. I mean, they do gaming stuff, and they're very good with it. But they're a computer shop. They're not like a Micro Center, I would think, in terms of like, most of their clientele is going in there for GPUs, They're like a, clientele range from 25 to 85, if you know what I'm saying. So they're not exactly, I would consider them experts, but I don't expect them to know everything about, a newer gaming PC, especially when they don't, always, I mean, they know a lot, but they don't know everything, and so that's okay to me, and based on the options I have here, I don't live near a Micro Center, so that's kind of what I have to work with, Well, I really don't want to I don't mind doing that. If you want to, one of these days, you want to show me how to do that. Well, I think I got it figured out. I mean, it's working now. And, but I'm open to doing that. Whenever you have time, just stay in touch with me. I don't know if we're friends on Facebook or not, or Twitter or Instagram, but maybe we can add each other on one of those things just because in case I don't stream, you can always have some way to talk to me if you're comfortable with that. I know some people aren't comfortable with that, so I understand if you're not. But I'm actually all for even overclocking my RAM. I just wanted to get my stuff out of the shop and get it working properly before I start you know, tweaking it and stuff like that, if you know what I mean. Okay, I'm sure we are. Right? You see, I have like 5,000 friends, and I only know about 30 of those people. I think I told you one of the ways I have more friends on so many friends on Facebook is through DJing, and you know, I just add somebody. Just like I did it with emails. I subscribed to all these email lists over the last 25 years, and now maybe not that long, but 15, 20 years. And now I get emails from companies that I have no longer interest in, but it's so many. Like if I don't go a week without checking my email, I have 2,000 unread messages. Luckily, it's easy to delete. Just highlight, delete. But the problem is there's important stuff entangled in there, and I don't want to delete any of the important stuff. So it's like I don't want to just delete 50 at a time until I'm done. I want to, you know, at least peruse it. Oh, that's a message from somebody, you know, that I actually need, or that's like it's my glasses. That's, you know, so and so. So that's why that's the only reason I didn't remember if we were friends on Facebook. Yeah, but the email I use, I've used it for everything. Like everything. power1aj@gmail.com. Maybe I should make a new one and slowly migrate over there, but I've used that email for literally every single thing. The only time I used a separate email was when I was trying to take advantage of like a free trial on something. So I guess I can slowly migrate everything, but I've used that email for everything. Just like my phone number. I've had same phone number for God knows how long. So yeah. But no, I thought about doing that. But I wouldn't even know where to start in terms of slowly migrating stuff over, because, I mean, everything is, like, even if I moved 10 important accounts over, unless I wrote it down, I wouldn't be able to remember what accounts have what email. And the only problem I have with that, and I'm not saying I'm not going to do it, but, like, you know, I hate it when you put in the wrong login and the site thinks you're hacking and it locks you out, and it's like, man, I really need to get in, and now I got to wait 6 hours before I can try again, but I really need to get in there, you know, and look at my student loans or something. So it's like, you know, I already put username and password in for important websites, and my phone is contact. I know it's probably not the safest thing, but I mean, it's just what I do. There's no other way. I would have 2 sheets of notebook paper, and I'd rather have it in my phone as a contact than paper like that floating around. You know? I mean, you need to have my face anyways to unlock my phone, so. Even my password, I mean, almost all my passwords, well, I don't want to say that, but I only use about 4 or 5 different passwords just because that would work perfectly if I only used Apple. If I only used Apple devices, that would be great. I could have them make up passwords, and I would love that. But sometimes I'm on my PC, and yeah. So it probably translates from Android to Windows, doesn't it? Everything you saved on Windows translates to Android. So it's like, works out perfect. Yeah, see? Because I do half and half. I like using my MacBook Pro. I don't use it that much. But with the stuff I do use it for, it's crazy convenient. Like, it saves all my passwords, and all I do is go to Chrome and automatically fills it in and stuff. It's great. I'm a MacBook Pro, but then when I get on here, I'm not going to remember some random password. And I don't want to get locked out and have to change the password. And then what happens is when I get back on my phone, if I try to log into that site, it may not recognize that I changed the password, because even though I selected yes on Windows to save it, Mac still thinks I'm using an older computer. I mean, still using the same password. So it's like, okay, why does this not want to log me in? Oh, that's right, I changed it. Because not every site tells you changed the password. I think Gmail does, and a couple other ones do. They'll tell you. Yeah. But what makes it even a little more confusing is I don't think I have all my permissions exactly to share. I'm pretty open when it comes to that. I always elect to have everything open and shared, but it doesn't do it for everything. Like Chrome does it, but so I would even argue on an Apple device, Safari does it better, which would make sense because that's Apple's browser, whatever. So, that works. So that's what also makes it confusing. I don't only use Chrome. Sometimes if I want to go on a website or if I want to search up something and I don't want to deal with my history in terms of like what it's going to remember, what I did, and if I want to just kind of search something up from scratch, I'll open Firefox. But sometimes, like for instance, I'll go on Firefox if I want to buy something from a site just to kind of like make sure that I'm doing it right and just so I don't got to deal with Chrome autofilling stuff in that's not right. Like sometimes if I go on Chrome, go onto a website that I'm buying something, they'll autofill my last address for like my billing address or my shipping address. But because there's so many moving parts when you're buying something, it's like I may not see that. And then I'll get the email that says billing address is different than shipping address. And then I'll have to, you can't always just change it. You got to cancel the order. It's one of those things. It's like, it's just cumbersome. I don't want to deal with. But no, I'm all for what you're saying, dude. I'm not knocking what you're saying. Yeah. So. Oh, dude, I totally get it, brother. We'll touch base later. Thank you for telling me all about that RAM, man. And we'll keep in touch. Maybe next time if we have time. Well, actually, you get to bed. But maybe next time, if you have time, maybe we'll look into overclocking. Maybe just the RAM. See how that works. If you want to help me. And yeah, I'll let you know how things go. Right now, everything's working fine. But when you do have time, maybe you can help me with some display issues I'm having. So I'm on a 4K TV, but I'm trying to run 1440, and you can change the resolution in game, in control panel. So when you get time, I'll explain it to you. You probably already know what I'm trying to say, but I'm trying to get it so it's, if there's a way to run a lower resolution, higher graphics settings, then run 4K, even though I'm on a 4K monitor, if that made sense. Well, my thinking is I'd rather run 1440 and max the fuck out of everything instead of run 4K and kind of max out everything, if that makes sense. Because someone told me that no matter how good your PC is, you will always get good FPS and a good visual fidelity with 1440. When you got time, I'll show you what happens when I do that. I'll show you what happens when I do that. I will say real quick before you go. I will say, so I told you I had 2 monitors and TV. Now I have 2 TVs, a B9 and a LC4 and a monitor. Since hooking up the 2 TVs, it's not an inconvenience really, but it's a little slower in terms of going from different resolutions and stuff like that because I'm still experimenting. But when you got time, I'll explain to you what's happening when I go to the NVIDIA control panel and change the resolution. There's a couple quirky things that happen that maybe you could help me with when you got time. I don't want to keep you. I know you gotta go to sleep. And see, so you just reminded me. So when I was doing it in control panel, I was doing it in general, but I forgot in the NVIDIA control panel I can go by game. Because what I want to do is just have the gaming set to 1440 and max out everything. But when I watch my TV, like YouTube, Netflix, or just browse on their PC, I want 4K. So that's probably what I have to do, right? Set it per program. But when you got time, I'll show you what it's doing. It's not as simple as that. It creates like a square on my TV, and sometimes it just does weird things. Like it will, if you look at my whole TV, if I change the resolution to 1440, it cuts out a square, and it basically will only show that square, but part of that square has buttons on it that I need to click with my mouse, and it won't show the buttons. Well, we had that issue too, and there was with the Marvels game, there was a option for exclusive full screen. Now it says right there. I don't want to keep you, brother, because it's more complicated than that. I promise you. So, but I'll show you what I'm talking about. Now, show more. Where's show more at? Oh, I see what you're talking about. Oh. So, here, let me show you what I'm talking about. Okay. Oh. Oh, shit. See, this is a setting. Ah. So, real quick, before you go on. So, with this right here, I just want to show you this real quick. So this right here, what I found out that if I leave this output color depth to 10 and I try to change the resolution. So what I would have to do is I would have to change the hertz to 100, change it to 2560 by 1440, and I could keep that at 10, the output color depth. It would change, and then the guy said I could bump it back up to 120. But it didn't do that with everything. So I know it sounds confusing as fuck, man, but see, this is one area where okay, so okay. So if I set it right now, it'll be good, right? Well, no. If I want it per game, I would go by per application, right? I'd find out what games I have installed. Right? If I want the TV itself to stay at 4K, would I go into... Because I want... the only thing I want 1440 is the games. The rest I want 4K. Oh, so then that means now, like if I chose 1080, it would be ugly resolution, but it will fill the whole screen, right? Hey, so what resolution is this? What resolution is this? 4096 by 2160. I've noticed I have that on my new TV. That's got to be better than 4K, right? That's 4K? Well, I thought this was 4K. 3840 by 2160. I always thought that was 4K. But then when I got this TV like about a week ago, I noticed that 4096 by 2160. Oh, I see. So the larger TVs are probably... This is probably the largest for the larger TVs is 3840 by 2160. But because I'm running a 42 inch... Oh, I see what you're saying. Oh, because... I see. Because it's... So that... Like ultra wide... So that... What you... Oh, I see what you're saying. So like those weird ultra wides that like are really wide, you know, them ugly ones that are like really wide, that are mainly for like racing games or airplane games. Is that the resolution of those? Like that 5000 by 1440? Like those monitors that are just like really weird. I'm trying to think who came out with one. I think Samsung released one. Right? Did they release some one that's like... It's expensive too. It's like $4,000 or something. But it's literally like 48 inches or some shit like that. And it's like, it's wild, dude. It curves and it stretches and the G9. Yep. Okay. Dude, see, nobody mentioned this. Okay. So, worst case scenario, real quick, then you can go to bed. Worst case scenario. So, shit. My leg locked up. Fuck. Oh, whoo. Sorry about that, brother. Oh, man. Pull the muscle. So, worst case scenario, I would go under NVIDIA control panel, say I'll select Marvel's Avengers, or would I just go in the settings of games, right? So I don't even have to go into that, right? I just go into the settings, type it, and then in the game settings, okay. Oh, wow, okay. Now, you said 120 hertz. So in the game settings, I might have to lower it to 100. Now, how will I know? Last question, you go to bed. How will I know I have to lower it? Like, say I select 1440, and it doesn't take the 1440 120 hertz. Well, I get that, but I mean, what will it do? Will it like move my windows around like it normally does? Like cut off half a window or put some of my windows on this monitor where I can't see them, and that's probably what, yeah. That was what it was doing. It would like take all my windows and shift them to the left, and it would like I would be able to see half of them, and they'll have, okay. Dude, you're the man. Okay. But now the monitor I have, the two TVs are 4K. This monitor is 1440. Should I still select full screen for that? Or does it matter? Okay. I see. Dude, you're awesome for that, brother. So these are resolutions that I can do on my monitor, or just because they give me an option doesn't necessarily mean I can do it on my monitor. Okay. But they're going to be weird resolutions, right? Like specific case resolutions, which I'll probably never use, I'm assuming. Okay. Sweet. You're the man, dude. Hey, thanks for everything, brother. Dude, and I appreciate it, Nick. Dude, I really do. And we'll touch base one of these times when you're not working. Get some sleep. And I'll let you know how everything's been going on with me, and but thanks for that, brother. Okay. Oh. Yeah, apply. Let me apply these. You're the man, dude. See, I didn't really realize you knew. I knew you knew a lot of stuff about computer. I didn't know you knew that. Out of all the people I asked questions, nobody knew that. Nobody suggested go to this. Adjust desktop size and position. So, is it best to do per game? Or for me, is it just best to do it like globally? Dude, you gotta go to sleep, brother. You don't gotta, dude. Why don't you just wait and tell me this shit later? Now see, because now I have a really good monitor, like a 4K, now I kind of want to go for performance. Because I think it would give me a good balance, you know? Do performance settings on a 4K monitor, it gives it that balance. Where it's like... so you got... G... See, I gotta be careful using my wheel on my mouse because sometimes I inadvertently change some of these settings. I haven't been in here since I upgraded my IPS monitor into an OLED. Texture filtering, quality, high performance. Okay. I want to say when I did change these, it's like the only time I've been in here, I actually went, I had like 6 or 7 Google search results up, and I really looked into each setting in Google, and so I would like look up what the best managed 3D settings are, and say for instance it didn't mention DSR smoothness. I'll go to Google and type in DSR smoothness. What's the best setting? And so, but and actually that specific one I don't even think I did because I didn't want to mention with sharpness. But I will say this real quick. Last thing, I promise. One thing I do notice is I'm real happy with the visual quality, but one thing I do notice is I think there's a sharpness issue. It doesn't look terrible, but it doesn't look great. Doesn't happen with all games, but it looks like it's giving me the look as if something's too sharp. Like you can tell by the way the edges are on the characters and stuff. Now that might be just because I'm so close to the TV, which I understand. Ah, okay. Damn. Okay. So, damn. Dude, you're all right, brother. So whenever I change anything, I can just change directly in game. Okay, so I see. So the program settings here, that's for stuff for like non-game programs. Because not all programs have settings like video games do, I'm assuming, right? They're for like applications that may not have display options and no, I'm talking like when you select this, like selecting per game. Or is that not something that you do anyways? So I think before I met you, I think I actually dived into this one time and I was like, oh man, I can change the settings per... I mean, I ain't gonna mess with it because I trust you. Yeah, see? Like, I know what some of this stuff is, but I wouldn't know... Yeah, of course, brother. Right here, power action settings, edit power play. Oh, okay, edit power. Now, the only reason I have this set to never is because computer does weird stuff when you try to wake up a computer. But I'm open to like changing it back because I know it's not necessarily. Yeah, oh yeah. It's weird. Like all my settings literally are like when people talk about doing good for the you know, like what do I want to say, like, you know, having like saving energy consumption, all mine do nothing like that. Yeah. Yeah. Like I turn off every feature that I have on a TV or a monitor, and on here I think too, that involves save energy consumption. I turn off. like for instance, if you have a setting like that on your TV, it can actually affect the resolution you get. I mean, I'm all for saving the environment and stuff, but I'm not gonna, you know, buy a monitor or TV and. But you're awesome. You get to bed, brother, and we're gonna end it right there, man. Thanks for helping me. That's awesome, man. I'm so excited, dude. You're the man, dude. Have a good night, Nick. Keep in touch, and anybody else lurking, I love you guys. I'm gonna get something to eat, and hell yeah, Nick. See you later, brother. Hell yeah, that's awesome as hell. Hey, Dory, you say bye to Nick? Say bye to Nick. All right, brother, you the man, dude. Have a good day at work, and I'll talk to you later, definitely. And with that, I'm gonna sign off because I need to eat and get some sleep. And I love you guys. Peace out. Heck yeah, Nick is cool for that, man. All right, I love you guys. You guys are awesome. Peace.